Hey everybody, thanks for coming and watching me, Drew, draw. So I'm going to talk about a couple different things, but rather than show you websites and screenshots, I thought I would just do a little bit of drawing. First of all, a little bit about me. I have been drawing comic strips, or web comics really, for the last 20 years or so. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a syndicated cartoonist, and so that didn't quite work out. So I was going to be an astronaut or a cartoonist, and I'm not that great with math, and I'm just not lucky enough to hit the jackpot for syndicated cartoonist. That is a very, very difficult thing to break into. Some people say it's harder. It's hard to break into comics, like actual comics, like Superman, etc. But I feel it's harder to break into syndicated comics because it's such a tiny, tiny market. They get thousands and thousands of submissions a year. But anyway, that didn't quite work out, and so I thought since I wanted to draw, I would continue drawing the stuff that I like to draw. And then I decided, I'm going to put up a website. I'm going to do a webcomic, and that gave birth to several different webcomics. But the one that is nearest and dearest to my heart is Vindibudd Superhero in Training. And so we're going to draw him today, and we're going to draw the way I drew him for the comic strip, so or the web comic per se. And basically, it looked somewhat like this. Actually, you know what? It might be better if we get the right color and get on the right layer here. Here we go. Test, test. There we go. All right, excellent. So anyway, this is Vindibudd, and this is pretty much how he's looked essentially. I mean, obviously my style's slightly changed, just a little bit, but he's got a weird kind of baseball hybrid cap that he wears, and because he's a superhero in training, so he doesn't can't look like Batman, can't look like Bartman, uh, can't look like Superman, and I don't like drawing hair so much. At least for this, I wanted something that was a little bit more simple to draw. And but he is a superhero in training, and he attends the International Academy of Superhero Sciences. Yes, that is IASS. This is a family stream, but he's he's kind of like a Batman wannabe hybrid. He doesn't really have superpowers in the webcomic. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna talk about how Vindibudd has come into some powers, and a lot of that really has to do with the fact that I am in the process of writing and creating a comic book, an actual comic book, not a parody, superhero comic with Vindibudd and characters from the Vindibudd webcomic, Vindibabe, General Safety, and Common Sense Girl. And but anyway, I created this webcomic, and I came kind of late to the party. I was like, oh, all these people they're building these audiences and these fan bases, and they're so awesome, and I can do that, and I can do that, and to be perfectly honest with you, it's so clicky. It is really clicky, and you can see a lot of people put out, quite frankly, puzzling, puzzling things as far as art's concerned. But in comics are concerned and the writing, but they get these rabid fan bases, and so I kind of missed out on the syndicated comic thing, and I kind of missed out on the web comic thing. But you know what? There's a new thing that's coming out here, and I never really was into comic books in the '90s. I didn't have really access to a lot of the different books that you could typically read because I come from a pretty conservative family. So all the comic books are all about the sex appeal and all the image stuff, and Spawn being basically a minion of Satan. It just wasn't stuff that you're gonna typically be allowed to read in my house. So, but and so I just like I was getting to read my Calvin and Hobbes, etc., and and go from there. But but anyway, this is Vindibudd, and he uh, operates out of the Vindicave, which he seldom leaves. When he does leave, it's usually to do something that is definitely edifying to himself. But anyway, so like I said, I was going to try to do a collection of the Vindibudd comics, and I've drawn about 500 of them or so. And as you can see, it doesn't really take really long for me to draw, but that's basically typically how Vindibudd would be drawn. Actually, let's try that again. There we go. There we go. And in a box like this, talking head. Actually, let's make that black. And we'll go with 5. You'd be in a panel like this, and I'd go ahead and pop up a word balloon here. Elliptical tool, go like that, and get a pointer. Actually, let's make that a little bit. There we go. There we go. We'll contract that by about 5 too. Anyway, create that word balloon, pop some text in here. I like black holes and jokes about black holes, and that's what a singularity is. It's basically a black hole. And you know what? Let's go ahead and break that out. Okay. Go. You always want to make your word balloon fit your text. There you go. Actually, that's good enough to put general. There you go. So yeah, that's the first Vindibudd cartoon I've drawn in 3 years. How about that? Anyway, but bottom line, I wanted to do the webcomic thing, and it never really took off. Some people would read it. I think at the most I had like 100 readers that were regularly occurring, but I kind of just like let it go by the wayside, and life took over, doing other things that were just more important, really. And I decided that I was gonna go off into the sunset on my drawing career. I wasn't gonna do anything else anymore, and I was just gonna focus on my real job. But then something funny happened. I was going through and looking at these comics, and it's like, what, I'm gonna give some of these. I want to do a collection. I want to do a collection, an omnibus of Vindibudd cartoons, and I want to go ahead and give it to friends and family as Christmas gifts, because I think that'd be better than just a gift card, something a little bit more personal. And and so to that end, I started looking into what it would cost to make a book, and I started, what I need to do is I need to do like what if I did like a comic book that I could put in with the actual the collection of the web cartoons. What would that be like? And so I started looking into that, and I started looking into actually doing it right. Getting the correct 11 by 17 paper, getting the correct tools, getting those Copic markers, getting those stencils and rulers, etc. And I started reading and searching around the internet looking for tips on how to do this. And lo and behold, I found a video by some guy named Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and AKA Ethan Van Sciver. And he had this video that he had put up where he was going into Michael's, and he's basically saying, "Hey, you guys can make a comic book too, and this is how you can do it." And so he would just go ahead and walk through Michael's punk rock style, and then just like pull things off the rack and say, "This is what you got," and throw it in his little cart there, and give you tips on what you needed, and get the Faber-Castell marker for doing big washes in black, and it was truly inspiring. And this is before he got super internet famous doing the Star Wars videos, and talking about the whole ComicsGate thing, and it was truly an inspiration. And I started thinking about it, and the more I started, I knew he was going to do his book. He kept talking about doing Cyberfrog, and so I backed Cyberfrog, and that was in, I guess, like 2018 is when he was doing that, and it made quite a bit of money, as you all probably know. And I kind of like bugged out, and was focusing more on my regular life again, and I got back into it again. So things kind of settled down in what I was doing with my job and all, and I said, "Hey, whatever happened?" And I got the book, and the book was great. I liked it a lot, and I said, whatever happened with this? So I started reading more, or not reading, watching more videos, and I see that comics gets blown up, and I said, this is an opportunity. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, why? How do you do this? I mean, how do you make your own comic?" I mean, you with crowdfunding, you can basically build an audience. Actually, his arm would be going through like that. Actually, yeah, that's how his arm would be going. And actually, let's do this here. This is the joy. This is the beauty of drawing digitally. You can just make things go away, just like that. A lot cleaner than an eraser. So anyway, I think he might be like holding his hand up, saying, "Hey, what's going on here? What happened to this?" Let's here we go. So anyway, yeah. So I said, what? People are like, how can I do this? How can I'm a writer, I'm an artist, or I'm a colorist, and I can't draw, and I want to make a comic. And the reality is that I happen to be able to do all three of these things. I can draw, I can write, I can color, and I've been doing it for 20 years. And the only thing that I've not really done is had the discipline to actually just buckle down and write a script for a comic book and get it published. And so, you know, I see a lot of people complaining about like, oh, Ethan doesn't let me get on a stream or whatnot, and here's the thing. It's up to you, okay? If you want to get a crowdfunded comic that's super successful, it's all about building your own brand and getting your own YouTube channel and being friendly and on social media and all. And that's what I'm doing. I've got a great idea for a comic book, like a really good idea, I think. And I'm going to work on that, and see, what is this? This is okay. It's my ink layer. All right. And so anyway, this is an opportunity, much like syndicated comic strips were a great opportunity at one point, and once like webcomics were a great opportunity at one point. ComicsGate is the new great opportunity, and it is the wild, wild west out here with it. And it's just a matter of, getting your product out in front of people and hopefully doing it in a way that's that appeals to people, and you're not a jerk off yourself. So anyway, so that's what I'm going to be trying to do with Vindibudd here, and this is how Vindibudd appeared and actually appears in the webcomic, and I'm going to be drawing him differently. I have been drawing him differently, more, shall we say, actually, I need to flat this whole thing. Um, I'm taking the art to a new dimension, a new level. And actually, before we start doing that, let's work on this hand here. But we are going to. This is what happens when I ink without penciling, by the way. Let's work on this. All right, so we got. There you go. We have 4 fingers and then a thumb. And let's see here. There we go. I'm taking the art to a whole other level, and going to put together an actual legitimate comic book. But anyway, ComicsGate is an opportunity for creators to just buckle down and do their job. So and take that opportunity and seize it. And if you can't do that, then I can't help you. No one can help you, you know. And there's so many wonderful ways for achieving your dreams and getting a book published. And you may make a ton of money. You may not make a ton of money. You may just be able to make enough money to get your book published, which I think a lot of people would really just enjoy that. And that's really what their dream ultimately is. And if you make a ton of money, like crazy money, like what Van Sciver's doing. Also, by the way, digital is wonderful because of the ability to say, you know what, this hand is too small. Because, by the way, here's a tip. And I should, where is that coming from? Okay, this is color. We're going to delete that. Okay. Wonderful thing about a tip here is that the hand, by the way, let me go get my hand. Here's my hand. There you go. Hand should be the same size as the palm of the hand should match the size of the face. So that's my tip. So when you're drawing your hand, make sure that your hand, the palm of the hand, pretty much at least matches up the size of the face. And maybe a little bit smaller in this particular case because of where it's located. There we go. Much better. All right. So, all right, back to what I was saying. There's a really golden opportunity for you to at least get your book published because there's a market out there for it, and people want to see new stuff. People don't want to, go look for Iron Man and find Riri Williams. Okay, they just don't anymore. They're tired of being lectured. They just want good, honest comics written in a way that honors the art form, and does what people have wanted them to do for years and years and years. We don't need art or comic books to lecture us, lecturing and learning how to be an adult is something that you learn growing up. You don't learn it by reading a comic book, and you read comic books for fun. So I think a lot of people miss that point. So right now there's a market for people who just want to read comic books, and they are willing to pay to support independent creators who are filling that need. And I'm here to say that my name is Drew Williams, and I'm going to try to fill that need myself. I'm going to make a product that I hope you enjoy, and that you would like to buy and you would like to read. And I hope it takes you on a good, exciting adventure that's going to leave you wanting to read more and see what happens next. And I think that's the spirit of ComicsGate. You know, harassing people on Twitter is not the spirit of ComicsGate. That's not the point. And there's a difference between, by the way, harassing people on Twitter and roasting people on Twitter. You know, and or going on YouTube and making jokes about people. You know, there's a difference between the two. You know, and just because someone doesn't do what you like doesn't mean that it's open season on them for the rest of your lives. And where did I start this? This is, there you go. All right. I usually like to work with pink because there's not a lot of pink in this character. But anyway, so bottom line, back to what I was saying. Uh, it's an opportunity, and people need to look at that and say, look, Ethan and a bunch of other creators, your boy Zach, a bunch of other creators have really tapped in to that vein, and you can take advantage of that by providing product that these people want. And it is a new Wild West. It's a new frontier. It's a gold rush, and the gold is there on the ground for the taking. And all you have to do is pick it up. All you have to do is make something that meets the standards. I mean, make something that you'd want to buy yourself. Okay, that's not hard, right? Make something that you would buy yourself if you did not know who you were. If you saw it on the rack, you would just go ahead and pick that up and say, that looks pretty cool, and I want to take a look at that. I think the more successful ComicsGate projects you see out there, and crowdfunding in general, really, actually, let's do that. Meet that criteria. They aren't garbage. And no one wants to read garbage. No one wants to buy garbage. So don't put garbage out. But anyway, but this is kind of like I guess serving as a little bit of a tutorial on how to draw digitally. This is my method for drawing webcomics. And I used to, at one point I was doing this, what is it, once a day for like, I think a couple months I actually was doing comic once a day, but that was a different method that I was working with there. That was a situation where, and I think I'm not in RGB. Let's see, mode. No, it's RGB. That's crazy. What are my swatches here? These aren't my normal swatches. Website colors. Yes. Let's reset these two. What? Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. And these are so dull. What on earth is going on here? Anyway, this is not what it normally looks like. Colors are a lot brighter typically. But anyway. Yeah, this is kind of how you would do a art for a comic book, or not a comic book, a web comic. It's actually how you do it for a comic book as well, but it's a lot more involved and has a lot higher quality than what you're seeing right now. This is really sloppy work, but I'm just screwing around, so I'm talking. But Yeah. Anyway, so the website, if you want to check it out, is vindibudd.com. You can read all the comics there. You can read 500 comics, and a lot of them with production value that's suspect. Because what I would do is I use ultra fine Sharpie markers and Bristol vellum because that's what I was told by a comic strip artist to use, tools of the trade. So I'd get a mechanical pencil, Pentel mechanical pencil, and get a. That's not right. Where's that flush color? That's not right. You know what? What do we got going on here? Thank you. There we go. That's correct. So yeah, so then I'd pencil it and I'd ink it and I'd erase the pencil marks and then I'd try to scan it and then I had this cheapo scanner and it wasn't the greatest and then I would scan it in and then I would color into Photoshop, bring it into Photoshop and work on it and try to make it look good or presentable and then I got a tablet about 10 years ago and I started working with the tablet and got better at it and better at it, and that's what you're seeing me use right now. But anyway, you can see all those old cartoons there, and there's no likes or subscribes required. Totally free of charge. But anyway, but this has just been me drawing Vindibudd. It's pronounced Vindibudd. The name is derived from a comic strip that this character, or a comic book that this character used to read, called The Vindicator. And this character's original name was Buddy, and like the My Buddy doll. And he decided that he was going to be Vindibudd, and he'd be Vindibudd, Vindicator of the Innocent, and he would protect the neighborhood from bullies in this comic strip that I drew when I was 10 years old. And I just ignored the origin story of that and just had him in media res as a superhero in training for the webcomic with not really a whole lot of rules. It was just a wacky talking head comic with superheroes doing superhero-y crazy things that were, for the most part, not action-packed. Oops. Getting a little ahead of myself there. So Vindibudd has a girlfriend named Vindibabe, and she is actually a better superhero than Vindibudd could ever hope to be, much to his chagrin. He's constantly being one-upped by her for comedic effect, but that's always the way it's been. It was never a patriarchy thing. It was just Vindibudd's just kind of a goofball who doesn't really think all that well, because he is, after all, a superhero in training. So one of the instructors at the superhero in training is Common Sense Girl. She writes common sense violation citations because routinely Vindibudd and his sidekick General Safety are violating common sense. General Safety likes to make sure everything is done safely, no matter how unsafe it is inherently. As long as it's done by in his estimation, safely, it's all good. So that was he was Vindibudd's sidekick, and he's going to be in this comic book that I'm working on producing right now as well. Hopefully one day you'll read it. Hopefully you'll buy it from me. Hopefully I will have earned your hard-earned money for that book. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. If you like superheroes anyway. Maybe you don't. Maybe that's not your bag. Maybe it's not your jam. That's my jam. Yeah, I was looking into getting a webcam so I could like draw straight up on a book on a sketch pad, but I was like, wait a second, I have screen recording and I've been drawing this stuff digitally anyway forever. Why don't I just do this? And here we are, my first drawing video with me rambling. If you have any requests, I have been offering. Dang it! I've been offering to do fan art for people. I've done 2 fan arts for people on Twitter. And if you want me to do fan art of your original character, I will be happy to do so. If you have artwork that you would just like to see in general, or a character that if you'd like for me to draw a character in general, I can do that as well. Just go ahead and leave it in a comment. But anyway, but back to ComicsGate. Uh, there's a lot of drama that's been going on, but there's just such an opportunity. If you can just shut your mouth and then keep your head down and do your work and market yourself, I think there's a real opportunity to be had for people who are willing to take the time to put in the effort. You know, going and crying because X person won't have you on their stream, or going and crying because uh, someone said something mean to you on Twitter. Grow up, okay? Just grow up. You know, be a man or a woman. Put on your big boy, big girl pants, and go ahead and knock it out. All right, that's all it is. Really, all it is. That's my opinion. And normally I would let's see here. Here's my border. There we go. I would totally half-ass this. And background. Oops. Round. Color. Alright, there we go. So now I know what I'm dealing with. We're going to select, modify, and we're going to expand to, and we'll go ahead and drop a gradient in here. And does that look good? Let's switch that here, and there we go. A little bit of yellow there, and drop that in. Yeah, don't like that. So do a little bit of blue. How's that work? Oh, blue. There we go. Works a little bit better. Anyway, but yeah, no, I mean it's there for the taking if you're willing to work hard in it, and no one owes you anything. But you just get a couple hundred backers and put a solid book together. You could probably pretty easily get that published. I see a lot of people, they have so much talent. They really do. They're great. They're great artists. Maybe even great writers. I wouldn't know because I haven't backed their books because they're too busy being jerk-offs. Don't be a jerk-off, okay? Just don't. There's no reason to. A lot of people get really. I mean, look, you're not a rock star. You're internet famous here, okay? At best, all right. I've seen guys they raise six figures in crowdfunding, but they're idiots, and they think that all of a sudden they're rock star royalty, and everyone needs to just to bow down, and they think that they are some leader of some kind of movement. You're not the leader of a movement. You just happen to be friends with someone who's actually, that's not what I wanted. Edit. Oh, that's right. Fill. There you go. That's better. You just happen to be at the right place at the right time, and someone who is willing to throw you a bone, So, but when you get this attitude, like everybody owes you something, then it's going to fall apart and you can't get things funded. You know, I mean, can't harass people. Don't harass people. You are not Jesus. You know, you are not uh, Jack Kirby. You just aren't. So stop acting like you are. Why am I having so much trouble with this? Go much better. You guys know what I'm talking about. Stealing fruit off trees, stuff like that. Don't be doing that. You're not hot stuff. But yeah, so this is Vindibudd. Vindibudd superhero in training. Um, and quick and dirty, as it were, or at least screwing around anyway. Uh, do a little. That work? I guess so. That'll work just fine, I suppose. There you go. But that's Vindibudd superhero in training. You can see him at vindibudd.com. That's VINDIBUDD. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll do this. Boom. Black. There you go. Is that right? No, that's not right. There you go. Boom. Make that Arial. And let's make that large. Oops. There you go. So you can read about vindibudd.com, or you can read about Vindibudd at vindibudd.com. And so that's all I have to say tonight. Thanks for watching. If you like what you listened to or saw, I do apologize for everything that I've done so far. But if you want to come back for more punishment, feel free to like and subscribe and listen to me babble on inanely while I scribble horrifically on Photoshop. Again, thanks for your time, and you have a good one.